It's 8:38. That went by in a heartbeat. That was one of the fastest shows I've ever done. My God, that was a fast show. Wow, let's go ahead and Q&A it up. Even though we've been... oh my God, this session was sick. Yeah, let's do a little Q&A. Q&A time, go. Ask me things. Wah, wah, wah. Let's take one. Thanks for sharing advice with us, 90. I've never heard that, Miss Meows. I've never been called 90. Chrono says, what dank memes can we expect to rotate with Standard? I don't know. Probably. Given what I've been doing lately, I'm going to be saying things like, oh my God, this deck was sick. Here's a great question from Lefowin. Says, how would you get a job that has a lot of competition? For a job that has a lot of competition, say 500 people are applying to it, 495 of those people are idiots. And the trick is not to be an idiot. The trick is that when you are interviewing for a job, and I've talked about this before, so in case there's any way to search for that, you can see me talk more at length about this. A job interview is a not very good proxy for what you will actually be doing at a company. In other words, the whole interview process might be 8 hours. My God, a 1 hour phone call, a 1 hour follow-up phone call. Maybe you come, or you're given an assignment to work on for a few hours, and then you come in for like a full day of interviews. That's like 10 hours of time to evaluate you, who will probably have to do hundreds of hours of work. In the very first 2 days that you work at the company, you have already spent more time there than during your entire interview process. This is the sort of thing that is important to understand, because the interview process, again, it's a proxy for you doing good work. So what does that mean? When you're in the interview process, your goal is to convince this other person who's there that you have the expertise that they need, so they'll hire you. Now, let's just ask ourselves some questions. Why would they want someone to convince them that they have the expertise for this job? Well, because if you're doing the job, they also want you to be the expert, telling them, don't worry, my job's under fucking wraps and here's why. And then they listen and go, that's right, John Doe totally has this shit under control. It's a very important skill to have. And I always like to give this as an example question when people are talking about interviews. Here's a question I always throw at people. The Chief Technology Officer, the CTO, is a very important position in many technology companies. It's basically the person who is overseeing and planning the broad architecture of what everybody's fucking coding. How do you hire a CTO? That's the question. How do you hire a CTO? When we go through this exercise with people, I start saying things like, well, I mean, maybe I give them a test about, I ask them how they would architect this thing and all this stuff. Look, let's not make this more complicated than it has to be. You look and see if they were the CTO on some other really impressive project. And that's probably really good evidence that they would be an impressive CTO on your project. Ta-da! When people looked to find who could shoutcast StarCraft 2 matches, they looked to see who was successfully casting StarCraft 2 matches. And it was basically me, my brother, and Artosis. Like, we were the ones making casts, right? That's where they started. So if you're applying to a job, like let's say that you are trying to be, I don't know, I always like this example, a boot manufacturer, right? You're trying to do boots for fashion, and you're going to be the designer of the boots. You could try to show your GPA and that you've done a lot of boot manufacturing classes, or you could like show that you designed 40 boots in a summer and you can talk about all the designs. And you can say, so my experience in making all these different boots, and here's what I thought about with the boots, and ask me more about why I created this project for myself around the boots to demonstrate my passion for designing boots. Isn't this very obviously similar to what you need, which is someone to design boots? And they go, well, of course, this person took it upon themselves without any sort of payment or any sort of external pressure to just design 40 boots. And I'm a boot designer. Let's hire this guy, right? It just makes so much sense. Your coursework and your GPA is not nearly as important as a project that actually shows to me in a one-to-one sense that you can do what we're trying to get you to do. If you are the CTO of an existing badass company, I want to be a badass company, I need a CTO, I'm going to look at that to hire this. And so when you're in a competitive job situation, so let me use one that I'm familiar with. Let's say it is you are trying to be hired as an assistant director on a film shoot. You know what works really nicely? To just direct a whole bunch of projects, and then you just point to those projects, not to assure someone that your coursework should probably make sense if they spend some time thinking about it. No one wants to think about it. This is why reels are really popular in the film industry, because you can just say, look at my reel. And then they look at the reel and they go, that's some good CG. You're a good CG artist. And then we move on. So that's it. So that's what I think. That's what I think. And I'm actually going to take this from Ekaj Real, who says, I'm currently a senior in high school and I really want to study biomedical engineering, but I kind of shot myself in the foot earlier in my high school career. I haven't heard back from any of the colleges I applied to yet, and I'm kind of freaking out. Do you have any advice? It's hard to really shoot yourself in the foot, but the college application process is done. For any of you who didn't know, I was waitlisted at every single college I applied to. All of them. All of them. Now, first of all, know that I'm fine, right? Nothing bad has happened. I've never been like, but I needed to go to that and get into Harvard. And you might not get into the ideal course that you want to get into, or excuse me, the ideal university that you want to get into. You can get into somewhere that's all right. Let's just call it a mid-level school for your space. And you can just crush it. You can focus on doing all sorts of projects that demonstrate your expertise. You can attend conferences and try to write papers and contribute to people's academic research. You can get published. Like, I am not an amazing mathematician, but I am a published mathematician. Isn't that fucked up? This is why I love The Witness, because I have published mathematical papers on polyominoes, right? Because I just fucking did that shit. And I got like B's and some A's, right? Like I wasn't the best, right? So you can go, you can do that. And then you can start to just puff your chest out and be like, oh yeah, I'm a published biomedical engineer. And you know what? You can honestly, at the end of the day, just transfer wherever the hell that you wanted to and then be fine. Like totally have a blast. There is no opportunity that is ever make or break on this specific opportunity. It just doesn't exist. Just keep crushing it. You got this shit. I'm gonna head out. See you tomorrow. Boom! Oh my god.